Hi, third grade. All right, we're in a different spot this week. I needed to use the board because I need to use these straight lines here because this week we're going to be talking about how to figure out which note is which when we're reading music on a staff. So these lines are called a staff. So I'm going to write that here, staff, okay? And this one, we're only going to worry about the treble clef staff. So when we're playing games this week and naming notes this week, you should see one of these things at the beginning. You don't need to worry about what it means right now. Just know that this fancy squiggly symbol here is all we're working on this week. On the staff, we have lines. Duh, right? Lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Okay, that means between them we have how many spaces? See if you can count the spaces. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So 5 lines and 4 spaces. And on these 5 lines and 4 spaces, we put our notes. It's kind of like a musical code. Some of you might already play music, play piano, or take lessons or something like that. So you may have an idea of how to do this. And if that's the case, awesome. If not, we're gonna start really slow today. We are only gonna name our notes that are on the lines. So notes that are on the lines look like this. See how the line is cutting through the note? A note that's in a space looks like this. See how those 2 lines are surrounding the note? They go around it, and I kind of like to think of it like a meatball sitting on a sandwich. It's a meatball sub. There's 2 lines, and it sandwiches that meatball, and the meatball doesn't get cut through by the bread, right? It's just between it. So that's our space note. But today we're going to name the line notes. And before we start naming them, we need to know what they could possibly be called first. We only use 7 letters in the musical alphabet, which is awesome. It makes it super easy. So we start at the beginning of the alphabet, A, and we just keep going until we hit 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's 7 letters. And those are the only 7 letters that we can use in our musical alphabet. So as you're choosing answers this week, you know it's only gonna be one of these 7. And in fact, since we only have 5 lines, and we're only doing line notes this week, we can narrow it down even further, and it's only gonna be 5 of those notes. It could be E, it could be G, it could be D, B, D, and it could be F. Could be any one of those notes. It's not going to be A this week or C this week. So let's get started. Our line notes go from bottom to top. Anytime we're talking about the staff, we like to start at the bottom. Notice how I put the 1 down here and the 5 up here. So we start at the bottom so that everyone's on the same page. We're going to start at the bottom, and I'm drawing a note here. Now that one is a line note or a space note. Hopefully you're thinking line note because it's got a line cutting through it. If I drew one here, that would be a space note because there's no line cutting through it. So I'm going to draw only the line notes, skipping the space notes in between. These notes are called E. These are called G. I'm going to write it actually above or next to it so that you don't get confused. So this one's E, this one's G, this one's B, this one's D, and this one is F. Now, how on earth are we going to remember that? Well, they will never change. This is always what these notes are, E, G, B, D, F, okay? So we can memorize this. First of all, we need to remember line numbers. So we've got how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this E is on line what? This is on line 1. G is on line 1, 2. B is on line 1, 2, 3. See how it's there on line 3? D is on line, you guessed it, 4, easy. And then finally, F is on line 5. So we're going to memorize the letters in order by thinking of a saying to remember. And there are a couple that people like to use. The first one goes like this. This is the classic one. Every good boy deserves fudge. Every good boy deserves fudge. Well, how does that work? Okay, notice that every good boy deserves and fudge start with the same letters as these notes. So if you were trying to think of what a note is over here, let's see, this note, we'd first count the lines and we go 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's on line 3. And then we'd say every good boy. Boy is our third word, and boy starts with B. So this is a B on that line. Okay, now not everyone loves that saying because not everyone is a boy. So sometimes people like to say this one. Every good, starts out the same way, right? Easy. Every good burger, instead of boy, deserves, so same word there, deserves fries. Every good burger deserves fries. I agree wholeheartedly. So, E, G, B, D, F. I've even had some students that don't really like to use the sayings. They just like to go, egbeduf. They like to say the letters and make a word out of them, which I think is very silly, but I love it. I'm glad it works for them. So, you can choose any one of these sayings. You could make up your own saying, or if you just wanted to try saying egbeduf to remember, then you can try that. So I'm gonna erase everything so far. And we are going to try to identify some notes. So I'm gonna write one here. We're doing only line notes, remember? So what line is this one on? This is not a line down here. So we've got this one first. I'll put the numbers back. This one is on line 1, 2. This is on line 2. So our second word, I'm gonna use every good burger deserves fries. Every good. Good is our second word. So this note is G. Now, I'm gonna write one and I'm gonna give you a moment to think about it. So take a second and talk your way through that saying. Every good burger deserves fries. Which one do you think it is? All right, so did you figure out what line it is on to start with? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is on line 4, so we count to our fourth word. Every good burger deserves. That's our fourth word, deserves. So that means this note is D. All right, let's do one more. One more. How about this one? Easy one. What line is that on? Hopefully you're thinking the bottom line, the first line. First line, first word of our saying, every. So that means this letter is E. Okay, so if you would like to practice this, you can get some paper, draw some lines. You can even print out, you can search the word staff or like blank staff on Google, and you can find some staffs to print out to try it on. And you can draw your line notes and label them. I'll also include a link where you can play a game to practice your line notes. And then on Wednesday, we'll do another practice, all right? Very good job this week.